Hello and welcome to our place in Sicily. And today I am taking you on a very cool house tour of a house for sale. Could this be for you? Let's watch and find out. As I said, we are at a very interesting location. I was contacted by a realtor who was interested if I was interested in this property. And I said, yes, but to show you. So this is a really interesting property. It would have been a country house at some point, probably for somebody in Catania. There is a palmento and a place for them to, a cantina to keep the wine. It's building after building. There's also sort of a little cottage attached to it, which could have been possibly the person who kept the place up throughout the year when they weren't here, at their little country house, for vacation for summer, Ferragosto. And it's just a lovely property. There are a ton of olives. It has grapevines. And this is the important part if you're interested in an investment, because they're in the DOC area, which is very sought after. You know, it wasn't that many years ago. There were only about 8 vineyards here on Etna. And now I can't even remember. It's over 100, and with more coming every day. And they need this property to be able to have it be Etna wine. So there's that opportunity. Right now, the people who own it, the woman who owns this is the niece of the owner who passed away. She inherited it. And we have, you find here that they have somebody taking care of the vineyards and the olives and the grounds, more or less, enough just to keep it so you can walk around. It is an interesting property. It will take somebody with some creativity to turn it into something very special, but I think it's possible. So we'll go over that at the end. So stay tuned through the tour. And at the end, we'll take a look at the floor plan and I'll give you some of my ideas. This will be a little different than the other tours we've done because I think there's like 2 or 3 different ways that this place could go. Maybe 3 different ways that this could go. And people are always asking me, emailing me for ideas. So here is one for you. I hope you like this tour. Let's take a look.
We're going to start the tour out from the road, from this adorable little gate with the knights on the front. It is a beautiful style building. It has some great, let's call it cachet, but it's actually a fairly simple architecture inside the main house. But we're going to take you to start because it's a big set of buildings. We're going to take you all the way around. So here on the left now is the finish of the main house. And what we're looking at there, the gray part, is the cantina. And this part here is a garage, which we actually couldn't get into. It's being used. You'll hear about that more later in the video. And we're just walking through olive trees, just some of there was it was more than 100 olive trees. I can't remember exactly what the number was, but we're going up here. I would put in some stairs so you don't have to go all the way back here to get around. But that's just one of many, many options you could exercise with this interesting property.
And here's your view of Etna from the back garden. This space here, we were told, was used for the previous owner's dogs, but the actual land ends out there a little bit.
Now, as we come along the backside of this property, this is a fairly open garden. And you'll see now the building on the left, the orange part, that is the old palmento, and this yellow part, we're going to stop and take a look here at just one of the many fruit trees. This is pomegranate. It's just like overloaded with them. Some of the birds have gotten in here. Beautiful. and seemingly happy, even though it's abandoned. And this yellow building on the left is what we're calling the cottage. And it's where the gentleman who owned this building lived until he passed away, while he was working on the main part of the building. In there, you'll see, and we'll come back around, there's a little vine-covered dining area. This is another entryway here, but just super sweet. Again, we'll come back to this in just a second. We keep going around. There is another, this is sort of what a Sicilian would call an outdoor kitchen. It is very rustic. This is probably the most rustic part of the Casa, and but it's structurally pretty sound looking and would take nothing to make it look lovely and romantic little garden. Now we're coming along the far side of the little cottage house. We'll come back around there. Then we're going to pass the part of the palmento, and we're going to keep following this along, and we'll get to back to the other side of the front of the house. So this gate right in front of us would have been the main entry gate back when cars were actually horses, and the gate didn't need to be that big. And this brings us pretty much all the way back around to the front of the building. So we're on the front terrazzo of the Casa. There's 4 doors. Now, the gentleman who owned this, who unfortunately passed away before he could see his vision, a few years ago, actually was able to fix the roof and put in all new doors and windows. So one of the hardest things there there can be to do has been taken care of. And we're going to get some echo in here as well. So we have 4 main rooms, and this is sort of done in the traditional Italian style, which is one room after another. There do seem to be some solar panels that aren't in use, maybe for heating water. We're not sure about that. We're sort of in the central hall now. So off of this room, or hallway, each one of these rooms is present. And these are all fairly rectangular. This is the only one that has a little damage. There's a gutter issue outside that can be cleaned up. Some green mold from moisture and not anything to worry about. Such an echo. This place needs some love to fill up the echo. There also is probably the possibility to buy this with a lot of furniture. And you're not seeing a lot of furniture right now, but there is a lot in and amongst the house. The former owner had lived in Canada, was a big art collector and archaeology buff, so we've seen his stuff, his collections in the house. So there's a little bit more from that front gutter that was causing an issue. And stuff like that will happen when a house is sort of just left. So this is an interesting 2-room. So if you wanted to come in through the front gate, which is really sort of the car gate, not the original entry gate, but fits modern day cars, you could maybe use this as an entry and then go into a family room. We'll talk about floor plans a little later. This room they're obviously using as a dining room. Again, all of these things could be changed. It is the dining room because this would be perhaps the kitchen. Has the old bread oven in it. There used to be a window through to another part. It was closed but could be opened back up. And there's fun little touches as well. So that's
most of the sort of main house. I'm going to take you back around and show you a little side part that's added on. We're calling it like a baby palmento. A palmento is where they would have made a wine. So they've done some interesting things. So the gentleman who owned this, he had maybe plans for an agriturismo type thing. So we have bathrooms with bidet, toilet, sink, and shower. Sadly, I would probably take this out. I don't think, unless you've got a different plan for this that would accommodate it, I think, unfortunately, these are not the best use of this space, but probably were there because there was some plumbing there originally. There are stairs, also known as a ladder, that can take you up to the second level. We've got footage of that. We'll show you. So even though this looks like it was fairly well done, it makes for a very small shower. So one of the very tiny showers. But yeah, it's not directly attached to any kind of bathroom. So this space is interesting, and this is, I think, looking at the plans, and we'll take a look at those too, that he had big plans on how to get up there. So I think there were ceilings before he put in or redid the ceilings between the ground floor and the first floor. Like I said, we have video for up there. Not all of that space is usable, but there are terraces to the outside. There's another bathroom here. So it's possible to make this part of the building, which is an add-on to that house, the main house. You could put a railing or half wall up here. This could be a little desk office space with its own window. Again, you could make this a little bit of a loft and could have a bed up there. There's lots of things. It would sort of depend on where and how you want to get upstairs and what you would want to do with these bathrooms, as well as what do you want to do with this whole place.
As promised, here is the footage from the upper floor after scaling to ladders. And what we have here is, it's hard to really tell how tall these ceilings are, but suffice it to say, they're not tall enough in many places, but I'll let the camera adjust here. We have a little terrace out on the front that you can see the sea from. It's just a tiny terrace, and you would need to somehow make a reason for people to come up here. This space is not really tall enough for walking into. Could be a good storage space for really anything you wanted to store. But you could do like off-season closets if this was going to be a home. We'll talk about all the different ideas we have as well. And then going to the left instead, there's another doorway that leads out to a terrace, and then some more rooms within rooms back there that are not tall enough for a roof. You can see Etna from out on this terrace. So it's likely you could fit maybe 2 bedrooms and a bathroom up here, maybe 2 bathrooms. Maybe you could do something interesting where they would share a bathroom in the middle, taking advantage of some height. But, oh, check out that view. I mean, it's gorgeous. So, you know, they're not big terraces up above. And you could look into doing some more, but there's a lot of floor space here. So if you were smart about it and maybe rearrange some of these walls, you might be able to get some more usable space. If you're smart about where you would put closets or drawers or dressers, or even tucking in the shower, you could be somewhat creative. But mostly this is like under 5 foot tall. Like maybe only at the very highest point could a shorter person fit. But this place here, the spot is definitely more open. You could even maybe put like a little summer kitchen up here if you wanted, when you could go out and enjoy the spaces. But Anyways, you can see the brand new roof is in great shape. And one of the ideas I have would be opening up this floor actually to the downstairs. But for now, let's head back down and we're going to go to the back of the house and walk out the back through what is currently the kitchen space of the casa.
So leaving that kitchen space. And by the way, when I say kitchen space, I just mean like that's what it is right now. I am not saying that this doesn't have like 100 different options for the right person, but we're leaving the back kitchen. There's some stairs, obviously need a railing, and then this is the cantina garage. This is the real garage. We can't get into there right now because the person who is taking care of the vines and the olive trees is keeping his stuff in there. Get a little bench outside, or would be lovely with flowers. I'm going to orient you. So that's the sort of car driveway. And we're going to go around to these other buildings. Now, I apologize in advance that some of these are rather dark. You can answer. So we're back to the place where the previous owner kept its dogs. We'll do some shots later of the land, but it goes off this way. I think we were told there are more than 100 olive trees, some pomegranate. So let's start over here. So we have this non-original, I don't know if there was something here before, but this is definitely not the current original little seating area. Looks like there was an intent to have a little fountain space. You can see all the sabia that's been left here over the years. And some of you may ask, is this an abandoned home? What counts as an abandoned home? That is a really good question. And I would say our owners might not call this abandoned because this has been inherited. But sometimes you inherit something that you don't have the need for or the want of, which is the case here. And so while they try to sell it, it is kind of abandoned because nobody's here except for the gentleman working the trees. So now we're going to go into a dark space. I'm going to go slowly here so that the camera can try to adjust. And we have this original wood trough, which I think would have probably brought grapes in or juice out. This could have been the canning space. You'll see that trough continues here and into the next room. And I'm not up on my palmento architecture, but this is a grand space. And just past this wall is that little garage they said was about 15 meters that the gentleman working the land right now for them is doing. But you can see, oh, there's so much beautiful furniture in here that needs some love, needs to be adopted. I think there is an opportunity here to make an offer on this place and have it include all of the items that are in here. So this lovely iron. So this could be could overlook into a great big family room and then break up into Bedrooms up high. There's a lot of stuff. It could be an event space. If you wanted to do weddings here, stuff like that. So this is really looking for somebody who wants to have a unique situation. But this, as I interrupt myself, is what I would say is the most in place working palmento. This is the screw that helps run this, turn it. I cannot say anything on it is actually currently working, but it is in good visual state. So this is using the power of Archimedes screw. And then you would have used gravity to help feed the grapes and the juice in. We've got some old machinery, some windows for dumping in the grapes. So actually, I'm pretty sure, if I look at this now, yes, that the grapes would have come in through the windows, which is traditional, and into, I think, up above or into these parts here, and mashed and screwed with the press. And then they go sort of from one vat to another, because there's another matching one over here. Then it rolls and runs out to here, and then you can see where that trough continues out there. So then probably it would have gone out to there and then used to bottle up or put into tanks or whatever, amphora, however they would age it, if they aged it. We have one of the old pieces of the palmento. And I have seen these turned into rooms, family rooms, all sorts of different fun things. I mean, you can see how high that ceiling is there. You could cover this all up if you wanted to do something horrible and still have rooms above it, but I would not do that. We don't have all the lights, doors open right now. Let's see. Nope, I can't get this open right now, but there are windows everywhere. You can put in some stairs. You can see this project just didn't get finished. I think that the gentleman who owned this and had the dream of bringing it back to life would be pleased to have someone bring their great ideas. Look at the beautiful ceilings. I'm pretty sure that these side beams are chestnut from the color of them. I'm not a chestnut expert, but it is a wood that we use a lot here in Sicily. And I've seen it in roofs. It was even in our roof. So you can see down below, I'm creating my own shadow, how that would work and flow out. All right. So this is kind of the fun surprise room and could just be a fantastic creation for an interesting idea. So to orient you from behind us is the other front street entry gate, very much a pedestrian gate now. Couldn't fit a car, could fit a good bike. And then just right in there was that sort of side part with the ladders, and then this was the palmento. We sort of went in through the Cantina, and out through the side, and now we're going to go in what we're calling the cottage. So this is back part of the house where the gentleman who owned this lived. I apologize, I'm going to go slow so the camera can readjust because it's dark in here. Somewhat because we can't open all the windows. But this was just sort of left as it was. And it has a nice high ceiling. I mean, it could be a little a little house of its own, a little apartment. It has a little bit of work to do on the ceilings. We noticed some, a little bit of water seepage up here, which should be an easy fix. But otherwise, the roofs, the ceilings are pretty well done. Everything has been stuccoed. Everything was just sort of left one day. And then this is the one bath and laundry. Again, nothing special here, but could become a lovely little special suite if you're thinking about this as a luxury rental or a guest house, or you just want to live here and try to make wine and grow olives. This could be a lovely little guest house or side apartment to bring in a little income. Let's take you over into the kitchen. So we think this part, let the camera adjust. We have a little light. So there's a door there. Just we don't have the key for that one to open it right now. So it's keeping everything secure. This has got a little bread oven baked into it. That was not intended as a pun. So this part and this next room would be the little kitchen. And there's a window up here, and it opens out. Yeah, we can't get out this door right now. And you can see it opens out into 2 old seating places. We're going to go around and take another look at those. So just outside, we'll go around to the door we couldn't open just a second ago, is a little outdoor kitchen. And a little sort of sunny, vine covered, sweet little nook here. Obviously, everything here needs a little work, but for the right idea, I think it could be a good find.
All right, let's get a good sense of the land here. All right, we're up above the olive trees, and we're coming to you see that sort of road there. That's the edge of the property to the, I guess that's really the northeast side. We're going to turn around here so you can get a good look. You'll see that road, but the property here is on the right. So you can see the trees and the vineyard, and then beyond that, some of the olive trees. And this property actually crosses the road, but not right here yet. We'll turn to the right, and now you can see the house and the property to the left. That is that just past the red roofed house. That is the rest of this property. So it's a big parcel of land sort of split across the road. And you can see better here the main house and then little pieces that come off of it. So you're first being the main house, and it butts into the cantina. You can see here as we go up are 2 different small terraces. So you get a better idea of maybe that space in between the 2 that could be used. To the left that sort of comes into the house is what we think was a little small palmento, and that's how we get up. And then to the right is the cantina and garage, and to the left going straight up is the palmento and then the little cottage. So that gives you a good idea of what the land looks like here, and it's kind of beautiful. Now, I promised we would be looking at some floor plans, and I am not going back on that promise. First, I just wanted to start with this sort of plot plan. You can see the 2 pieces of land and the house and how it's situated. And then we need to talk about ideas and what our ideas are for this house and how we can make it into a new property. And earlier I said I thought there were maybe 3 ideas. Let's go with 4. And the first one is just rethinking this space as a house with some really large extra spaces. And we'll talk about the extra spaces in a minute, but right now let's focus on the main house. And that would just require you deciding where you want to put bathrooms and where you want to have your family room and your dining room. I think you need to take those new bathrooms out that they put there because they don't make much sense. And then I think we have to think about how we're going to use the upstairs. So now we've overlaid on the upstairs here. And what I have highlighted here in yellow is the part that I think is actually livable space. 2 of those spots are actually terrace, and the rest, they basically have enough height to use for living space. We can, yes, tuck in some closets and some drawers in the lower space, but that is the usable space in this configuration. Now, the next option we have is to think about this maybe like a retreat space. So maybe like an artist retreat or a writer's retreat, or basically a retreat space that people could rent out. And in that case, I would use something similar to keeping the house, but maybe we don't have to, maybe we can have the bathrooms stay where they are. Maybe this is an option that's a little more affordable to get things up and running, and you can change things as you move along the process of this. Or maybe you have some rooms that are special and have their own bathrooms, but you also have these other bathroom spaces. But generally, the house would stay sort of the same, but maybe we'll move some of the other big things like family room and kitchen into bigger spaces. All right, are you ready for some fun creative thinking? Because the next 2 ideas require a little more creativity, and that is creating either a luxury rental space where you turn the whole main house into little rooms that would have their own bedroom, a little sitting room, a bathroom, obviously, and then maybe even a tiny kitchenette, or at least a coffee station. And what we have here first is a look at what these could look like, because right above these rooms is a second floor, and these rooms are already tall. They're about 13 feet tall just on the main floor, and then we could add upwards of 4 more feet for the low ends, the more shallow roof lines up above on the next floor. But if we open that up and we move the floor down a little bit, we could have 2 levels with high ceilings. So that's what we've kind of got going here. In rooms 3 and 4, we have, and really 3, 4, 5, 6, what we're doing is you can see staircases now up to loft spaces where you could put a bed. If you look at the picture on the right, this actually also has a kitchen in there, but let's think smaller for just a luxury room for this. It adds some like space, some alone time place. You can have a nice couch in there. Stuff like that. And we're going to talk about the other spaces again for community use, like we would for the retreat. But the other option while we're on this page is to make each one of these spaces into a small, almost studio, open loft 2-floor space. We can take advantage of some of the units getting the terraces up on the top floor. In the sections of 1 and 2, you can see 1 is actually going to take the space under 2, and to get up to the second, you had a small little place up there, and you take the stairs up to that unit. All of these could be rentals along with that little cottage on the other side of the building. Now, why would I even consider doing this much work? Well, one, a lot of the sort of character of the inside of the rooms has been removed in sort of the saving it. Also, because the roofs are newly put on, re-put on, redone, you have that extra height, which is not really useful as a full second floor. But because the ground floor is so tall, if we can open that up, move the ceiling down a little bit, and then use all of the space on the upper floor, you can have some really beautiful architectural spaces that honors the history of this building, but yet is modern and could be really and truly affordable housing. You could even make these little artist apartments and then use one of the communal spaces as studio space for them. But to do that, we need to look at the rest of the buildings. We talked about the cottage. You've seen the inside of the cottage. That would be, as far as I'm concerned, either it could be a small family unit, it could be a caretaker unit, it could be a mother-in-law suite if this is the house, it could be turned into a luxury, extra, bigger space place, all keeping that outer sort of sense of antiquity, sort of antiquity. But let's look at the other spaces. And let's start with the cantina here. I want to point out just a couple of shots I pulled from Pinterest because you have a lot of space. This cantina is 6.45 meters tall. There's plenty of room to split and make 2 floors in there, but also it's a lovely space to keep open, whether you're making artist studios on 2 levels but keep them open, or you're keeping this sort of interesting high level look down, look up, see the whole space layout. That could include, you can see the middle picture. It also includes a giant kitchen. You can include enough eating space because we're talking about this space sleeping upwards of 22 people. If you plan this right, you could even at the end of that cantina put in a couple loft bedrooms if you wanted. You can use the garage space to add a little gym. But what about the palmento space? Because that is an odd space, right? That has all of the places where the grapes go in and such. And what I grabbed here is a picture of the palmento Monterosso here in Sicily, and you're looking from one side into or towards those different levels of the palmento, and you can turn those into like a sunken couch or another eating area. They're essentially like rooms without full walls, and you can think very, very creatively. You could also turn this into like a theater room with theater seating or a game room, and you can break up everything. You can make a couple bedrooms towards the back. There are so many options. Really, for this property, the trick is to think creatively. I hope you enjoyed this tour. I enjoyed making it. I like going into these houses. Look in the description for more information about the house, including the listing and contact information. And you should know that they are ready to make a deal on this house. Be prepared to negotiate if you're interested. Feel free to also leave me questions, comments, and until next time, ciao, ciao.